Learn how to create and execute a fundamental HTTP GET request using XML requests to fetch information from a specific server-side file and display it. In this lesson, we want to look at the Ajax GET method together. When you browse the web, you use the GET method constantly. So every time you type a URL into your browser like this, or maybe you click a link, you are basically saying, go get this page for me, go get this information for me. So in Ajax, we use the get request in the exact same way, but completely in the background. So it is designed to safely retrieve data from a server file without altering any information on the server itself. So let's move into the script part of our boilerplate code and see how the get method actually works with Ajax in JavaScript. So let's make a function and let's call this function maybe Ajax requests, anything. So I'm using this name so that it can, mimic what we're actually talking about. Inside it, then we make a variable xHTTP, which is going to take the XML request object. So once we have this, then we call on the onload property and pass the function to it. And inside this function, we want to put a method that is going to be responsible for displaying our text if the request is successful. And then you set the this.response state. So now that we have this, then we can append our method xhttp.open. So this expects two parameters. Number one is our HTTP method and the URL or the location of where we want to pick up our file or information, and then xhttp.send. So now that we have this function, let's move back inside our HTML and add a button. And inside this button, just put a simple text like click me. I want to add an ID for this button, which has already been styled. And I want to add an on-click property as well, which is Ajax request. So if I go ahead and click this, you cannot get slash ts expression slash ajax info.txt. Now you can see that the HTTP method that is set here is already showing while returning this error to us. So if I just link this to the right source and click on the button, then you should see this is a page to be fetched from the server. And to prove to you that this is what we are actually eating, let's change the text and say this is, let's say something like this is a request from Ajax that is running in the background. So go back and click on it and you can see this is a request from Ajax that is running in the background. So what we basically have in this example is that when you click on this click me button, so JavaScript open a communication line to our server file that is named ajaxinfo.txt using a get request. So the server processes the file and return its text data, which JavaScript now automatically populates inside our empty div that we are our empty paragraph rather that we are targeting inside this function that we have here. So the xHTTP open get and this file path is a setup of our network request parameter. So the first argument specifies the HTTP verb, that is the method of the HTTP, whether get, post, or anything that I want to use, telling the browser that we are strictly retrieving data, which is the purpose of get. And the second argument targets the file, which is the Ajax info.txt here, which is the server-side script responsible for generating our response. In a real-world application, so this is likely going to be, you know, another a URL that is referencing information from another server that it might not even be on the application that we are working on. So maybe we need to make a request to an external information so we can make use of this method in order to retrieve information from that third party server or whatever at any point in time. And the our XHTTP send is what fires the get request out to the server. So because get requests send their information embedded with the URL itself, so no parameter or data payload are passed inside the send method. You can see it is just the method that is being sent here. And the XHTTP unload, which carries this function, is an event handler that listens for the complete download of the server response, and once it can find that the server response has been downloaded successfully, then it fires this part in order to display that text on the screen, just as you can see in this example. So, and what is responsible for displaying this text is the document.getElement by ID method that takes whatever raw text or HTML data that is generated from this file and injects it directly into our P element that has this ID and display it for us on the screen, as you can see in this example. Now, here are a few key takeaways from this lesson. Number one, the HTTP GET method should primarily be used when you want to look up, fetch, or read data from a server without modifying anything. So if you just want to get that information without doing any alteration or modification, that is the HTTP. That is what the HTTP GET method, the HTTP verb, should be primarily used for. Number two is that any parameters that you want to send along with a GET request, like maybe search features in the search or search query, it must be appended directly onto the file path string as a query string. So, for example, let's say you want to add a feature along this. So, you add it like this in form of a query string and say, okay, maybe name is equal to whatever, Ben or something. So this is how you add that URL. That is how you add that information along with the URL. And lastly, the browsers love to catch GET requests to save time. So which remains consecutive, which means some consecutive requests to the exact same URL might pull them from your computer's local memory instead of checking the live server every single time. So this is another benefit of the HTTP verb get method.